Hi everyone, my name is Kat and I want to welcome you to Kat's Creations, and today we're inside the studio where we are going to be teaching, or where I'm going to be teaching you how to make a Patriotic Americana swag grapevine wreath. So I put the pictures out there at the beginning of the week and I asked how many people would be interested in learning how to make it, and pretty much overwhelmingly everybody said yes, we want you to show us how to make it. So I'm going to walk you through all the steps to go ahead and make this. It does require a lot of patience because sometimes just trying to work with the swag itself can be a little overwhelming. So let's get through some housekeeping. So if this is your first time coming here to my Facebook page, I want to say welcome. Let me know where you're from. I'd like to be able to welcome you. And then also that a lot of times crafting connections are met on a Facebook Live, so you never know. You might just end up with a crafting buddy by the time you leave here today. If you haven't already, I would ask you to like and follow my page. Super simple. The like is, right when you go on the page, you can click the like button. Following is a little bit harder. You actually have to hit the little three dots that are along where the buttons are, because I just did this before our live. You click on the buttons and it allows you to follow. Once you've liked and followed, hopefully your notifications should be set up to where whenever I go live on Facebook and you happen to be on your mobile device, you should get some sort of a notification that says, hey, we're live, and you get the opportunity to kind of jump into that live with us. So YouTube subscribers, a little bit different. This is an earlier replay from today on a Facebook Live. So just click the subscription bell in the upper right hand corner. That will allow you to subscribe to my channel and be notified whenever I upload a new video. I'm trying to think of anything else. Oh, if you guys want to make this, once you order your supplies, click the share button down below. The share button just takes this tutorial, maps it over to your Facebook page. So much easier to find. So I am going to go ahead and pivot you guys down. Let me make sure, number one, that we are live, even though I know we're live. Let me make sure. I'm trying to pull you up on my tablet so I can read your comments. There we go. Hi, Anna. Thank you. Hi, Pam. Hi, Cheryl. Hi, Pam. Again, a different Pam. And hi. So welcome. I want to welcome you guys all to this Facebook Live. So we're going to pivot down. Give me just a second. I find that giving you guys an overhead look gives you a better view overall on what we're doing. It just takes me a while to situate this so you can see everything and that everything is in the focus. So hi, Karen. Thank you. Welcome. First time joiner. So what you're going to need is an 18-inch grapevine. Technically, you can use whatever size grapevine you want. I find that the grapevines at Michael's generally have a little less mess in them, and it's easier for you to clean. However, I've already gone through and taken the time on how to clean a grapevine and clean this one up on both sides. Remember, we always want to make both sides. Make sure that there's nothing that's going to scratch our customers' doors on both sides. And then number one, it makes it easier when you're going and working with the wreath itself. Plus, when you ship it, you don't want a debris filled in the box with all the stuff that rattled loose. It just makes for a nicer wreath. So this is from Michael's. I've got a little bit of a loose item here. I'm going to show you how we're going to fix that rather than, constantly keep pulling everything off, but super simple. 18-inch grapevine is what I'm using, a round, not an oval. You're going to need two different types of ribbon. I am going with the Americana look, which is what this is doing. It's like a tea stain. So it's your navies. It's a little bit of not a bright red, more like a maroon, something like a whitewash look. So this ribbon is from Craft Outlet. This ribbon here is a D. Stevens ribbon. I got this from, Shinoda when I was still in California. So we're going to be using these as our bow for our swag. You're also going to need wire cutters, scissors. You're going to need raffia to keep that rustic look going all the way through. We are going to be using some metal stars. These are from Factory Direct Craft. you can order them. Anybody can order them. You don't have to be a business owner to order them. We're also going to be utilizing some Pip Berries. So some of these Pip Berries are just the tan, the navy, and the burgundy. Some of them, let me untangle these. Some of them already have the rusted metal stars on them, so we're going to be incorporating those. Those are going to be our sprays that emanate from the bow area. Again, factory direct craft. And then you're going to need a swag. And so before you guys ask, I've already gone and looked for the swags, the normal places that I have gone to get them. Generally what ends up happening is I order them at the end of the year, and then they get shipped to me somewhere in like January. So I do have some available. I'm going to pin my website to the bottom, catscreationsandmore.com. So if you want to head over there, which I know you guys will, I only have 7 of them available. Okay, hold on a second. Trying to pin that. Why is it taking me to the website? I don't want to go to the website. I'll close that. This is where I appreciate my husband's ability to navigate this a little bit better than I do. Pin comment. There we go. So now it'll be at the bottom of this tutorial, or pinned to the bottom, so you guys can head over there. Like I said, I only have 7 available. What they look like is this. They are not, I repeat, not an American flag, because you will get ripped apart on social media for dishonoring the flag. And what you'll see that this is an actual 21 foot, they call it a bunting. So I'm trying to find where it opens. Here we go. Opening. And open again. So this is what it looks like. And it's doubled over, so it's really super long. So 21 feet long. I like to use it doubled up because it gives a thicker, more richer quality to your design. As you can see, this is not an American flag. It's not stitched in any way, shape, or form. If you wanted to stretch this out for a materials point of view, you could cut them in half, and then you would have 2 10.5 feet pieces, enough for you to make 2. But like I said, I like using them doubled over. So it's actually going to be doubled over on the front and doubled over on the back. So I'm just not undoing it and rolling the entire thing out. It just makes it a nicer, thicker quality. So once you do this, obviously you're going to make sure that it looks like the way American flag should. Stars on the top. You have this middle section of the burgundy, and then you have this section here. Now what I find most people, when they're doing their Americana swag, they don't pull their swag so that it is evenly distributed as far as the tension. So I don't know by what means they're trying to tighten it or hold the tension on the wreath, but it kind of looks like, it's just my personal pet peeve. I don't like loosey-goosey at the top and loosey-goosey at the bottom. What I mean is, let's say for example, we stretch this out on our flag. We have a seam here, so I don't like to see seams. So I would fold that over, so we don't have the seam possibly coming up, but I still want a lot of the field with the stars on it. We're going to do the same thing at the bottom. Make sure it's stitched up so that it's on the inside where we don't see it. Just like that. You don't need to iron it, because matter of fact, the more wrinkly it is, the more natural it looks. You will need twice as much on top as you will on the bottom. Not total, but you know, like the area that ends up way over here, because you want it, when you're gathering it, to have the ability down here to swag. So what I'm saying by loosey-goosey is when people are swagging their bunting, they'll pull it tight like this. They'll pull it tight on the back, trying to even out the tension, just like this. And this right here is loose. This right here is loose. We don't have an even amount of tension. We have most of it right here in the center. We're pulling down hard here. We're pulling hard here, but the ends, they're They're kind of flapping in the wind. And also you don't want to cover up so much of your grapevine that all you see is these little pieces. You want it to kind of be a good balance. So what I find that you do is if you keep about 10 inches here, so if I pull my swag out, I'm right at 10 inches. So I've got a good amount on the back, okay? And again, making sure everything's folded over so we don't have that seam showing. What you notice is when you pull, I don't like to see an awful lot of the tan. I like to see more of the red and the blue. So you can stop, you can kind of pleat things like this, and then as you're tightening, obviously, you want to make sure the tension's the same. This one feels like it's still going to be a little too long. I'm going to pull this one in, just like that. See how this is still loose? We want to make sure that we're grabbing it from the back and grabbing it from the front. This will be the hardest part of your entire design, is getting that swag tight enough to where you've got it tight here, like you're pulling your tension tight here. We've got to pull our tension tight here, but we've got to do it from both sides. If you just focus on the front, then your back allows it to be loose here. So you want to make sure that as you're working this, number one, see how the seam popped up? I want to make sure this is staying on the underside, just like that. I'm going to kind of gather right here. I'm going to pull even tension on the bottom. So all I'm doing is pulling on my swag, both sides, pulling my red, pulling it here. See how the red is nice and tight here? This is going along really nice, but I've got a little too much beige in here, so I want to kind of get rid of some of that so that we have a good amount where we want to see it. Sometimes if you have it folded on the front but not on the back, that's when your seam will show. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to pull. We're going to make sure we don't have a seam. Going to pull nice and tight. Going to do it here. Pull from the top, pull from the back. Okay, nice and tight. And I'm going to try to get it to where this is halfway up, but I don't want, see it's starting to look a little too, like we don't want it to eat so much of our flag. So I'm just going to, sometimes I just sit here and I pleat, 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 and pleat. That should be perfect if we pull it correctly. So just take your time, because once you get this done, once you get this down pat, it's going to look amazing. It's going to set yours apart from all the others. I got a branch here, so that's why it's kind of gaping. See? Nice and tight here. Still loosey-goosey. So make sure you pull it from the back. And then also pull from the front. Okay. Make sure you're pulling. So you've got real nice, tight. There we go. Right there. See, I'm just trying to get this to stay in the spot I need it to stay in. There we go. Perfect. Nice and tight. Look, no gap, no gap. Nice and tight. We have a nice amount here for a long tail swag. So once we have it here, what I like to do is, because sometimes you have to make some adjustments, take a pipe cleaner and wrap your pipe cleaner around here nice and tight. Keep your tension on. Because if you have to make an adjustment and you do zip ties at this point, you'd have to snip it off, start everything all over again from the bottom. I like to make sure that my swag looks nice and pretty, nice and tight, nice and tight. We've got a good amount down here. Don't have to worry about the back, but just so that you have enough here, because this, remember, it is folded. So we're going to have a nice amount of that to be able to swag into the wind. So that is the hardest part of your whole design, is making sure there is even tension, hiding the seams, making sure it's nice and snug on your wreath, and then just secure it here. Once you're happy with everything, like at some point, once we add our bow, before we do that, you can come in here with a zip tie and zip tie it down to make sure that it doesn't come undone. But I put my pipe cleaner on there pretty darn hard. So I like the fact that it matches with the rustic color of our grapevine. And so now we're ready to make our bow. So see how this is going to display. And this is why having it kind of wrinkly just kind of makes it look like an old style flag. Okay, so from here, we're going to take our ribbon, and the one thing I can tell you is less is more on your ribbon, meaning that, let me go ahead and trim this off. We don't want to go with a typical long tail. So let's do the dovetail on here, which is wired edges together. You're going to cut from the folded side down to the wired point, okay, just like this. If we were to do a standard tail size, which is about like 10 inches, then your tail is going to hang down pretty far. I like the show piece to be the flag or the little swag, or some people call it a scarf, some people just call it material. So I saw Connie said, where'd you get the scarf? It's actually not a scarf, it's a 21-foot bunting. I had or have 7 of them available on my website. If you want to purchase them, you could cut them in half and you have enough to make 2. Or you can just do what I do and just leave it, and then you have a really nice thick one. So here we want to keep our tails a little bit shorter. So I'm going to say about 7.5 inches, because like I said, I want this to be the showstopper. And then we don't want 5.5 inch loops. I don't think that's 5.5, but let's look. It actually is 5.5, but let's say we do 2 at 5.5, right? By the time we put our bow on here, let me kind of hide that, you have a really super big bow. We don't want the bow to be what you focus on. We want the swag and all the nice primitive features. So we're going to do, and I'm just going to use my bow dabber just to hold everything. And on this case, we have a horizontal design. So anytime we get horizontal, we want to make sure that it stays in its upright position. Now, the way it's coming off on the roll is upside down. That's fine. We can go ahead and fix that once we get all of our loops together. So we're going to go 7.5 inches in for the tail. We're going to go ahead and do 8-inch loops, which should make for a 4-inch bow or loops. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure this fits. I'm going to go 4.5. I feel like if I take it any further than that, it's going to make it for a really small bow. So I'm going to go 4.5. And right now you can automatically see we're upside down. We're not going to worry about that until we build the entire bow. So we're going to go 4 inches here. I'm just centering it on my 20-inch line, stretching this out. And right now it's at 5.5. There's 5. We want to bring it in to about 4.5. Okay? Because that's where this one is. We're going to do a double set, meaning we're going to do 2 of them. So again, this is out, upside down again. We're going to go ahead and pull these out. We've measured the bottom one, so all we have to do, put your fingers inside the loops, give it a slight tug, and we're right where we need to be. We're going to go out 7.5 inches right here. We're going to do our dovetail on this, just like that. And now we need to fix things to where our flag is all in the same direction. So the easiest way to do that is just to twist these in the same direction. So I'm just going to go underneath, twist them. So now, when we pull our loops out, everything is in the correct direction. This is the easiest way to do it. I see people cut the ribbon to try to get that to work, and it's just unnecessary, because when the customer goes to fluff it, if they pull too hard, they're going to pull the loop right out of the ribbon. So these are wired ribbon. So now we're going to do the same with this one, just to kind of give it a little bit more of a pronounced pop. And we're going to take this one down just a little bit. And we're going to go, we did 7.5. Let's do 6.5. Just an inch shorter. So this one I don't have to worry about, but I do want to make sure that my loop size is just a touch shorter. So this one, we're going to do, it's like 4.25, just a little bit shorter. Okay, right there. So I've got about 3 stars, about 3 stars there. Depends where your stars are situated. I'm going to come back over again on the top, pull this back out, loop it around, and make sure that we've got 4.25. And then we want 6.5 inches for our tail length. Do our dovetail on here, just like that. Hi, Marilyn. Sarah, you can, the pinned post at the bottom, I have 7 of these available if you want to purchase them. They are hard to find. You used to be able to get them through Etsy sellers, but they are completely sold out. I've even tried Amazon. Amazon does not have any. So I'm just parting with the stash that I have. So I have 7 available to list for sale. And I'm grabbing a beige pipe cleaner. I'm going to go ahead and pick this up. We're going to fluff on the wreath. So I'm holding from the bottom, twisting the top. I'm going to go ahead and set that to the side. Again, like I said, if you want to put a zip tie in here, you could zip tie that, but you don't need it once you have it nice and secure. Because this is going on our swag grapevine, we want all the ribbon tails to come down to the bottom. So I'm going to do that really quick. And then we're going to go 1 high and 1 low. 1 high and 1 low on both sides. We're going to do the same thing here. And then it's going to be the same here. So this is kind of like helping me to lay things out. Watch when I add this. So look, if it felt like it was too small, it's not going to be too small. We just don't want it to overpower and take away from the swag portion of our wreath. So I'm just going to go ahead and attach this right onto my grapevine and my swag. Nice and tight. Again, this is going to help reinforce where you have bundled your swag to. Now we're going to just fan all these out. We're going to open up all of our ribbon just like this. Pull this one out. You can kind of have them present any way you'd like. That's going to just be a user preference for sure. You can have one go high, one go low. Okay. I like to kind of stagger them if I can. Just like that. Here's these ones. And so here's our bow on our design. So we're going to keep it very country-like. Again, we have a tea-stained Americana bunting. We have our ribbon that we've kind of kept very true to the theme of our design. Now we're going to go ahead and add Pip Berries. We're going to come in and add some Raffia in here. And then we're also going to add in a metal star, but we'll do that at the end. So the Pip Berries, really super simple. When you buy them, they come pre-done in a set of 6. You get 2 white, 2 red, 2 blue with a metal star. You're going to see that once we take all this excess off, all you're going to do is slide these into your grapevine. This is where having that clean grapevine look is going to be key. So we're going to take one here. The metal star is a little too low for me, but we're going to come in and we're going to add a metal star a little bit higher. We're going to do the same thing here. Take the excess off. I have to go under this branch, otherwise it looks really weird when I put it in. And you can tell if you have really good pip berries if your berries bend all the way down to the ends. Just like these. So some are a little bit higher, some are a little bit lower. Just like this. I try to do like red, white, and blue if I can try to coordinate that. Sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. So if we go red, here's a white, here's a blue, here's a red, oops, here's our white, here's our blue. Same thing here, red, white, blue, red, white, and blue. So there's like long ones, tall ones, short ones. Those are where I'm pretty comfortable with those. I also have a set of berries that we're going to use. So I'm just going to put one set on the highs, one set on the low, meaning I'm going to pull these down and re-splice them so I can split them. We'll take all that off. I'm going to wrap the wire. And then we have red, white, blue. And I'm going right underneath my bunting with these. And we're going to have a little bit more of a pronounced look with those. I kind of want them a little bit more centered. So I have a really big branch in the way. So we're going to kind of go like that. Okay. That's the way the top spray is going to be. And then we're going to do the same on the bottom. So let's see, we've got a longer star here. So we're going to go right underneath, right under our swag, into the center of our grapevine. And we're going to swag this out. See how the star comes out a little bit further than this one does. So here we have red, white. Let's see, here's the blue. Then we have a red, a white, and a blue. And we can get them to bend so that they kind of stay in line with our design. I'm going to grab another one. This one's got a lower star, so we'll use this one. Okay, we're going to go right inside here with this spray. I'm going to do the same thing. red, white, and blue, red, or white's way over here, just like that. So I like to just have them kind of loop around in the same general direction. And then I definitely like the stars to stay here. So these metal stars are actually wired. So what I can do is I can actually take the wire on the star and kind of pull that down here. And now my star is in the place that I want it to be, so it doesn't move. Just like that. I like to trim up my pip berries because I don't like the little ends that just have nothing on them. So trim those up. We need to put a set of berries in that. Here they are. Here's our red, white, and blue. We're just going to twist all these together so they all stay together in a bunch. Super easy, right? Just like that. I'm going to kind of come in a little bit lower with the berries. So that we have our red, white, and blue right in here. I want it in a little further. They're not down as far as I'd like, so there we go. Again, bend them in whatever direction you'd like. This is where we're at right now with our design. If you want to add more, you can add more. If you want to take away and not have quite so many, that's entirely up to you. I am going to put one more piece in the upper so that we can have an upper star up here, just so that we have our star. Here's the wire that allows you to kind of fasten that onto a branch. Gonna kind of tuck that down, twist that around, and then we'll go ahead and tuck that back inside. Let's pull our star out. There we go. So now we have a metal star all the way through. Here's that pip berry that does not have berries all the way to the end. So I'll trim it up so it doesn't look quite as odd. And I do that on the other ones as well. So we'll go ahead and add another one to the bottom. So far I've used 3 sets of red, white, and blue with the stars, pip berries. That one feels way too long for the bottom, but let's see if I can get it under this branch and get it down low enough. Yes, like that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and wire this one on to a couple of the branches down here, help give it some security, and then I'm going to glue with my glue gun all where I have anchored in my pip berries to the wreath. There's that. Let's go ahead and clean some of these up. It makes them look a little nicer, a little cleaner. Okay, we're going to get this one to come up and under that. Take that leaf off, pull this one under. So now here is our design. So we're just going to add, I'm going to go ahead and glue these in. So I'm just going to pull back my ribbon, and I'm going to add glue right to the areas where I have added my Pip Berries. Do the same at the bottom, which is all where they're nice and tucked in. This feels right. Okay, now let's add just a little touch of raffia to our bow, and then we will all be finished. Okay, so raffia, you can get that from Hobby Lobby, Joann's, Michael's, trying to think of where else. Maybe Walmart carries it. I like to just kind of tie that in to the look in our bow. So I want something that's not quite thick. I want it a little bit more thin. And sometimes you just have to take your raffia and split it so that you don't have really super thick pieces, you know, that are really wide. Just take them and split them. And this is just going to go in the center of our bow to kind of tie in that primitive country look. So make sure they're all even. We have one shorty. Okay, so I'm going to give them about a 6-inch tail, and all I'm going to do is wrap it back and forth on itself until I run out of raffia. Just like that. Tie this one down. And then I'm going to take some binding wire. You can get this from Amazon as well. This works great for fixing things on your grapevine or securing things down that you don't want to run away. So I'm just going to take binding wire. I'm just going to tie this in a nice little bow so that it keeps my raffia nice and tight. Wrap it around here a couple times, keeping it nice and tight so it kind of looks a little grapevine-ish. Okay, we're going to go in and add this to our bow. So I need to get this down. I'm going to go pull that through, go down around my bow. And I'm just tying that into the center. I will refluff this once I get everything situated. Okay, just like that. I'll flip this right side up so you guys can see what it looks like. That's where we're at right now. And we're going to add one little small element. We're going to take a rusted metal star and we're going to add that to the center. So I'm trying to find one that I like. You can buy them at Factory Craft in a bag. There's 100 of them. And we're just going to add one right to the center to kind of tie in the metal stars, the raffia, and all the stuff right in here. You have to be careful because it's metal, and so it has a tendency of getting pretty darn hot and transferring that heat all the way through. But there you guys go. That's how simple it is to create this Patriotic swag grapevine. They're popular. They sell out every year. I only make a couple of them, and then that's pretty much it. So this is available for sale on the website. So if you go to the pinned comment below, you can purchase this if you want to purchase it. I'm going to show you how it looks on the door so you can see size-wise what it looks like. So give me a second. I'm going to pivot you up to that area. We're going to take this one down. And we're going to pin this one up. So it depends. Some people like their swag more swagged so that this hangs lower. You can hang it this way. It's entirely up to you. And then that's it. In a nutshell, it's finished. So this is your average size door. So if you're not sure, like I'm going to put this in my house, on my wall, you're going to want to make sure that you measure the area and understand how big this is. So here on this particular design, let me give you the dimensions of where it's at. I want to say it's 21 inches wide. And it is 21 inches at its widest point. And then it's only 18 inches from the top to the bottom because we're still going with the edge of the grapevine. But here it goes a little bit wider because you have the swag and you have the bow. So what questions can I answer for you? Okay. So Marilyn, you said you love watching me on your big screen TV on YouTube, but it would be awesome if I could watch her live on it. You can't because I'm not broadcasting live on YouTube. It'll go to YouTube as a replay. So in the event, when we get ready to do lives on YouTube, then you'll have the ability to do that, Marilyn. But right now, it's simply a replay through Facebook. So unless you can do what's called the live cast, but that's a whole different technical ball game. Sometimes it works for me, sometimes it doesn't. You have an option in your phone to live cast. So whatever you're watching on your device, if you have a smart TV and your device has Bluetooth capability, you can actually cause it to go from your device to your TV. So that's that option. Or you could just go to YouTube on your, or not YouTube, Facebook on your smart TV, pull it up, and then go ahead and click on the video and you can watch it live from there. But any other questions I can help you guys with today? Okay, awesome. And Cheryl says she's going to do it for her country's color, so red and white material. You know what, you can, you know, if you find the individual material, you could stitch them together and make something that way, Cheryl, that'll work for you and whatever you need. These are hard to come by. Whenever they get listed or wherever people find them, they sell out of them really quickly because people know how hard it is to get them in. So even when I order them, I can only order so many quantities, and even then I have to wait till they ship, and sometimes they don't ship as many as I order. They might only ship like 10, and then that's all I have available. So, all right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this live. Have a very blessed weekend, and I will talk to you all soon. Thanks for joining me. Bye for now.